Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Sorry for the month and a half long hiatus. I had a lot of stuff going on, so we are going to get started today by talking about pre-approvals. If you're new here, this is a very new channel for me. Basically, we will be going over all things real estate. My name is Hope Geyer. I am a licensed agent in Pennsylvania. So today's video is solely all about pre-approval. So we're going to talk about what a pre-approval is, why it's important, and then I'll just give you a couple of my own tips and things that my husband and I did whenever we bought our house. So to start off about what a pre-approval is, I'm literally going to give you the definition off of Google. You can look it up and fact check me if you want to. So the Google definition of a pre-approval is a pre-approval letter is an official document from a lender stating that you are tentatively, we will touch on that in the future, qualified to borrow a specific amount of money based on a review of your credit, income, and debts. So that's it. It is essentially a lender, whether that is at a bank, a mortgage broker, credit union, wherever you decide to get your home loan from, they are going to run your credit, they'll pull your debt, your income, and do all those ratios and figure out exactly what you're qualified to borrow. So this is important because it lets a seller know that you are a serious and qualified buyer for the homes that you are viewing. It's also important for yourself because it gives you knowledge to know how to move forward and to know what you can afford, which I personally think is super important. You don't want to be looking at houses that could possibly be out of your budget. So it's better to get a pre-approval so that you know moving forward exactly what you can afford. And just because this piece of paper says that you can afford this number, maybe that's not exactly what you're comfortable with. So it gives you the ability to decide what you want to spend on a home, and you're able to know, can you afford this? Can you not? And you're not wasting your time or anybody else's. So that's pretty much a pre-approval in a nutshell. You go to a bank, credit union, mortgage broker, wherever you decide to go, and whoever you get your pre-approval from is not who you have to get your loan from. I'll also say that. I do recommend shopping around, finding someone who you're comfortable with, because once you do start the buying process, this is a person that you're going to be speaking to quite often. So you don't want it to be somebody who, you're just not comfortable with. So you go there, you will basically give them a whole bunch of info. I do have a small list of things that we had to give whenever we bought our home, and I'm just going to kind of share that with you guys, but whoever's doing your pre-approval is going to give you a list of everything that they're going to need in order to start the process. But just a couple of things that my husband and I had to provide. They're going to want pay stubs or W-2s, tax returns, or your personal business. If you own a business, they're going to need all that info as well for, I'm going to say, the past 2 years. I know that's what we had to provide. Again, could be different for you. The other thing they're going to want is bank statements or investments if you have any of those. Debt to your knowledge, but obviously when they pull your credit, they're going to see everything. Maybe even things that you don't know about. Your rental history, employment verification, and then obviously, like I just said, the credit check. So that's just some of the things that they're going to want. Again, whoever you're working with is going to let you know exactly what they need in order to begin the process. And so just a couple of my own tips and things that, like I said, my husband and I did. First of all, just because you're approved for this number doesn't mean that's the number that you have to purchase a house for. And generally speaking, I don't even recommend going to the top of your budget, just because that doesn't exactly give you a whole lot of wiggle room, for the rest of things that come with paying for a house, especially when you're going to start paying for electric, cable, gas, if you have that, unless you have all electric, the water bill, just anything and everything. So for example, my husband and I think whenever we bought our house, we were approved for 180. I want to say 180. And we bought our house for 115. Now, granted, okay, we bought our house in 2019, and I completely understand that was a different time than what it is now. We bought a house back whenever it was cheaper to buy a home. I understand that home prices have risen, and also obviously interest rates. But yeah, so we were approved for 180. Now, granted, we were 21 years old also. So keep that in mind. You know, everybody's situation is going to look different, and that is perfectly fine, whatever situation you're in. But back to my whole purpose for that was that, yes, we were approved for this number, but we ended up only buying a house for this number. And that has actually, honestly, done us some good making that decision because, and I feel like people don't talk about this, your mortgage can go up, okay? Because your mortgage is not just your mortgage. It's also your interest. It's also your taxes. So if you were to go with like a flexible rate, your mortgage can change, you know, depending on whether interest rates are up or down. Most people generally lock in on a rate for their interest. But yeah, so that can make a change. Mostly though, your taxes will generally go up. Whether that's school taxes, property taxes, all that stuff can rise. And again, for example, now granted, this has not been a huge jump, thankfully, but it can be sometimes, and I have seen it. But over the past, 6 years of my husband and I owning our home, insurance. Insurance is also something that can rise or even go down. I'll touch on that in a second. Our mortgage has gone up like $150 since buying our home. So, you know, if we went to the top of our budget, that may not have been good for us. And, you know, so that's been something that's been good to me, is that we did not buy at the top of our budget because your mortgage can fluctuate. Now, it's gone up, but it's also gone down. So I personally work with an insurance broker. And so he pretty much just kind of shops around for insurance for us all the time. He has our home, our cars, all that stuff. So at one point, our mortgage actually went down, which was nice. But then, of course, property taxes went up. And so then it went back up, which was fine. But just to kind of give you some, you know, of my own little tips, that your mortgage can fluctuate. You know, it's not something, you're not going to have this number for the rest of your life, or sorry, for 30 years. So just be mindful of that. Because, you know, you don't want to be in a situation where you buy your house and then the next year your property taxes go up like $1,000 for the year. And that could be something that maybe puts you underwater. So again, just be mindful. My next little point, back to the part in the definition of a pre-approval where it says tentatively. And I'm not sure if this is what it's referring to, but I'm just going to throw it out there as the most important tip that I can give you. Once you have your pre-approval, again, this is all if you're like serious. You know, I know sometimes people, they play around with wanting to buy, haven't really actually sat down, ran the numbers, figured out if that's really what they want to do. And so they're just kind of going to open houses and wanting to see houses and just, you know, playing around. And that's perfectly fine. But if you are serious about buying a home and you do go through with getting a pre-approval, do not obtain any more debt after that fact. And especially after you've started a home buying process. If you've put in an offer and it's been accepted and you're going through the motions, don't be buying furniture for this house. You know, don't be celebrating with a new car. Don't be doing any of those things, because all of it can change your pre-approval or how much you're approved for. 100%, if there's anything you ever take from this channel, this video, I don't care what it is, and you keep in your back pocket, it is that. Do not obtain more debt after you have gotten a pre-approval or started the home buying process and have your loan has started to process and is going through with the underwriters and all that fun stuff. It is super, super important that you don't do that because, you know, it can change like that. And all of a sudden, this house that you thought you were getting, you're not anymore. Or maybe you have to start coming up with some more cash because now the mortgage company will only approve you for this much and you only have this much and the house costs this much. So it can turn into a serious nightmare. And so, yeah, those are kind of my tips. Just because you're approved for this amount of money doesn't mean that's what you have to buy your house for. And do not obtain more debt after you've gotten a pre-approval or especially after you've started the home buying process. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. I feel like I rambled a lot, and so I do apologize if that got confusing. But just kind of to recap, a pre-approval is a letter from a lender, whether that's, you know, a banker, credit union, mortgage broker, whoever you decide to get it from. Definitely shop around rates, you know, and find somebody that you're comfortable with. It is a letter from them stating the amount of money that they are willing to loan you based on your debt to income ratio and your credit. And then just tips, you know, just because you're approved for this much doesn't mean that that's how much you have to buy a house for. You know, you're more than welcome, like I did, to buy a house, what, $65,000 less than what I was approved for. Or, you know, if you want to go to the top of your budget, that's also perfectly fine. I'm just throwing my 2 cents in there. Doesn't mean you have to listen to it. And again, be mindful that your mortgage can fluctuate. It is not going to be this number for all 30 years, or 15 years, 20 years, however long your loan is for. You know, it can go up. It can also go down. Things that are going to affect that are going to be property taxes, your mortgage insurance, all those fun things. And sorry, I'm getting over a cold. Last but not least, do not obtain any more debt after you have gone through a pre-approval or have started the home buying process to where your offer has been accepted and you are starting with the loan processing. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. That is pre-approvals in a nutshell. So in the next video, let me see what I have wrote down here. I believe I know, but we're going to talk about the steps to buying a home and kind of what that looks like. So we're going to talk about from the pre-approval all the way to the closing table and just sort of go over everything that, you know, I think is important and things that you should know and, you know, be mindful of. So that is everything. My 1-year-old is starting to cry, so that is my cue. If you guys have any comments, concerns, anything like that, go ahead and comment down below, or you can private message me. That's also fine. Like this video, subscribe if you would like to see more videos like this moving forward. If this is something that you're interested in, or don't do anything at all, that's also perfectly fine. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.